show tonight, and hopefully you're ready to win some free trips. If you want to win some free trips, you have a chance to do so during the live stream show. We give away $1,500 in free trips every Sunday night right here during the live stream show. All you have to do is watch live and comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. So pop on over to Facebook, find the Hubbard's Marina page, find the live video. Some people tend to comment on older videos. You want to comment on the live video that's happening now. It's real easy. It's at the top of the page, the top of the timeline. So make sure you're on the live video. Make sure you comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page. You can watch on another Facebook page. You can watch on YouTube. You can watch on Trovo, Twitch, any of the other pages or streaming platforms we're using. But in order to be eligible to win, you do have to comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. So that's how you're entered for a chance to win. Then throughout the show, randomly, we're going to pick a lucky winner, and your name will pop up on the screen. I will announce your name over the video here, and you got 5 minutes or less to claim your free trip by texting the phone number at the bottom of the screen. That's how it works. That's how you enter to win. That's how you claim it, and that's how you prove you're watching live. Also, don't forget to like the stream for us. Like the video. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Like it on Facebook. Share it on Facebook. And make sure you comment wherever you're watching. YouTube, Instagram, whatever. It always helps when you comment and like. It helps it to reach more people. And we appreciate your help for sure. Now, with that, also want to make sure we give a shout out to our friends over at Gator Gyms Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. Make sure you stop on by and tell our friends at Gator Gyms we said hello and that we sent you. Again, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete is a great, great time over there at Gator Gyms. They have a huge selection. They have killer deals. They're great people, super knowledgeable, and really, really awesome selection and amazing prices. So stop on by. Tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you. Also want to make sure we give a shout out to all those send-in stars so far on Facebook. The stars are a way for those on Facebook to kind of show their support. It helps fuel the show, and we really appreciate it for sure. John Bull, shout out to you, my friend. Stephen Batchelor, Keith White, Richard Harcourt, Jeff Reedy with a big 1,200 stars. Thank you, my friend. Richard Blazak, Larry White with the big 500. Thanks, buddy. Richard Harcourt, appreciate you, man. Angel Perez with 1,200. Thank you, Angel. Scott Flynn, Rick Rogers with 500. Shout out to you, buddy. D Beers with a big 500. Thank you, D. And then Brian Eakins and Ryan Welser. Appreciate y'all with the stars. Thank you so much. And appreciate also the supporters who help make the show possible. We have our friends at Gator Gyms, the star senders, and then finally the supporters. All of those things help us to do these shows every week and help to keep us in equipment and the studio and all that good stuff. So we appreciate all of you making this show possible. Couldn't do it without y'all and couldn't do it without your support. So thank you to all the supporters. If you want to become a supporter, it's $4.99 for the entire month. You get access to our private supporters group. You get some behind the scenes info, and you get access to that private after show after every live stream show. So hopefully you can check that out. Josh is dropping the link into the chat, but it's also on our website page. You can find the link to the supporters right on our website as well. So with that, want to make sure we start out the show, as always, talking to you about what we're catching now, showing you some photos of what's going on now. Then we get into the weather a little bit. Then we answer the questions on upcoming events and some announcements. And then we get into your questions. If you have a question you want answered live during the show, all you have to do is send it to the phone number at the bottom of the screen. So text your phone number, or text the phone number at the bottom of the screen, your questions that you want answered live during the show. So we're going to show you photos. We're going to talk about what's going on now, what's coming up, some events, and then get into your questions. That's how the shows work every Sunday night right here at 7:30 p.m. So thanks for tuning in and joining us and being a part of our Hubbard's Marina family. With that, let's get started on some photos. So we've been fishing off the dock quite a bit, my son and I. Definitely that time of year where the mangrove snapper start to show up back to the docks. The pinfish are thick around the dock, so it's a great time to take your kid, no matter the age. We've got Ruby, Captain Garrett's daughter, coming down. We had Captain Joe's son, Brody, coming down. A lot of kids fishing off the dock. This is a good time of year to do it. Whenever we're not actively loading or unloading, you can fish from the Hubbard's Marina dock. So there's certain times where we have to ask you to move over to the beach behind the sand. It's not a beach. The sand behind our office. But you can fish there real easy, casting up under the docks, doing the same thing too. But you can fish from the dock as long as we're not loading actively or unloading as well. So Jack's been slaying the pinfish, catching a ton of them. So if you've gotten fresh pinfish from us, some live bait, it's probably caught by Jack or Brian. Also, the flounder have been pretty fired up steadily too. A lot of flounder around. As you can see, mangrove snapper still, are coming back. So that's exciting to see the mangrove snapper starting to really show back up on the seawalls, docks, piers, bridges, jetties. As we get into summer, we see more and more mangrove snapper. Our friend John Sasser is back on the Jack Crevalle. A lot of Jack Crevalle around. Definitely cool to see the mangrove snapper and the young anglers getting fired up. This is our friend Mia showing her friends how to catch these mangrove snapper. Also, the pompano action still pretty steady around the area. We're seeing a lot of the pompano around the jetty, around some of the local grass flats. Definitely a good time to capitalize on some pompano action. The redfish are starting to school up pretty good. A lot of people talking about the hot redfish bite in the back bay. Now, our friend Joe Simons from Salt Strong actually caught a bobber. He was out with his brother Luke. They were filming, and he sees this bobber out there on the flats, and the bobber doesn't seem to be moving with the wind. So it looked unnatural. So he made this bomb cast and snagged the bobber. And actually, once he snagged the bobber, realized the bobber was connected to a fish. And so he reeled in his snagged bobber, and this big old giant redfish was attached. And they have video to prove it. It was pretty cool. So cool story there. Definitely a lot of the redfish around. And their new lure they're testing out. They did a contest to name the new lure. Josh, what do you think the new lure name was? It was a internet poll contest to name the lure.
The Wiggle Waggle.
It was the Polk County Tweaker. The Polk County Tweaker. That's the new lure from our friends at Salt Strong, thanks to the internet. You can always count on the internet. Whenever you do a poll to name something, it's going to get weird. It's awesome. Remember that research vessel a while back, that like $1 billion research vessel?
Bodie McBoatface?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I sent Joe. I was like, dude, didn't you learn anything from Bodie McBoatface? They had this like $1 billion research vessel, and they did an internet poll to find out what they should name the research vessel, and that's what they came up, the internet. Bodie McBoatface. So when I saw Polk County Tweaker, it definitely raised an eyebrow, and I was like, I bet they did a photo contest or a naming contest. And I texted him, and he's like, yep, that's what happened. Funny story. Also, sheep's head bite has been steady still too. So this is that special time of year where you get these wintertime species like the sheep's head and redfish, and also you start to see the more summertime patterns like these mangrove snappers. So the summertime patterns starting to show up, and then we have the wintertime patterns still persisting with these redfish, with these sheep's head, and also the trout bite has been pretty good as well. But the snook are also coming back, and we've been catching quite a few snook around John's Pass. They're not super thick yet. We're not catching a ton of them, but this was the first one I caught, definitely the biggest so far. I've caught a couple more, but none of them were photo worthy, so they've been a little bit smaller since that first one. But they are starting to trickle back into the pass, and I bet behind this cold front this upcoming week, those snook will get thicker as things warm up. But as you can see, trout bite's still going well, and we're still seeing some pretty big trout. So a lot of people talk about what's the best time of year to go fishing. This is one of them, when you start to have those wintertime patterns and summertime patterns both existing at the same time, and that coexisting kind of fishing frenzy, if you will, is a great opportunity to get out there and capitalize on a lot of opportunities to bend that fishing pole. So with that, let's move near shore and a little deeper offshore and show you guys at what is happening a little bit further offshore with this weather change. Flounder again, still seeing some flounder. The flounder bite's pretty picky near shore, so a lot of times when we're fishing near shore, like on a big area hard bottom, if we're drifting or if it's windy and we're swinging around, sometimes we swing off that hard bottom or drift off that hard bottom, and just on the edge of the hard bottom a lot of times is where we pick up these big doormat flounders. So pretty cool to see. The gag grouper bite has been pretty good lately too. Unfortunately, these guys are catch and release only. Gags haven't been open in the springtime for a long time. They're actually closed on purpose this time of year, and we have the 20 fathom closure in place on purpose this time of year because they're protecting that gag grouper spawn. But because they're spawning, they're super active and very aggressive, so we catch a lot of gags this time of year, but we got to take a quick pick, get them back in the water quickly. We are seeing the hogfish, and pretty cool to see the hogfish bite still going really well for us. Water is starting to warm up on us, so we don't have that much time left for super thick hogfish action, but it is going well right now. So get out there and capitalize on a chance for those hogfish. We're seeing some nice red grouper, and ooh, big old sheep's head right there. So some sheep's head got into the near shore report. Sorry about that, guys. But African pompano, look at that one. Real nice African pompano from the 39-hour adventure. And nice big catch and release gag grouper. That's Captain James's daughter, showing off a nice big gag. Nice mangrove snapper action's been steady. Look at that fat red grouper. Some nice ones out there on the 39-hour trips and the 12-hour extreme trip, catching some nice red grouper too. Whoa, that is a toad of a red grouper there. So some nice action on even the 10-hour trip. This is from a 10-hour trip. The nice red grouper, Captain James, on Sunday last ran out a little bit deeper. Stayed away from the hogfish. Didn't get a bunch of hogfish, but caught some really big fat red grouper on that 10-hour all day, which was pretty cool. A lot of happy people. And some catch and release red snapper on the 10-hour trip too. Some big strawberry groupers. This one is specifically a rock hind. The triggerfish are back in season, so we're seeing some triggerfish as well. So lots of opportunities to catch a lot of different fish. We're catching and releasing those gags, but we're keeping the red grouper. We're keeping the triggerfish. We got a lot of strawberries to catch. We're catching a handful of scamp. You got big mangrove snapper. You've got vermilions, porgies, lots of other heads and tails. Plus, it's that time of year where those pelagic species are going to start trickling in. We're going to start seeing more and more mackerel, and we're going to start to see those kingfish anytime now. Plus, my friend Adib Mastry from Mastry Engine Center, Mastry Marine, over here in Pinellas County, they went out in their personal boat, and they caught 3 massive wahoo this past week, too. So pretty cool to see the guys at Mastry Marine out there fun fishing, catching a bunch of big wahoo out of our area, not too far, definitely within range of our 39-hour trips, maybe even a 12-hour extreme. So this is that time of year where flatlines become more important because you never know what might be swimming by the boat, whether it's a blackfin tuna, a kingfish, a wahoo. Sometimes this time of year we even see the occasional bull dolphin or mahi-mahi. So exciting time to get out there near shore, specifically offshore, for the pelagic action. All right, so that's what we're catching now. Those are some photos. Let's get into the weather here, and then we're going to get into your questions. Remember, if you do have a question, you got to text it to the phone number at the bottom of the screen. Our main office phone number is what you want to text to have your question answered live during the show. All right, popping over to the website. Let's talk a little weather. What's the weather doing, guys? Gonna hit fishing trips. Second one down is weather links. We're gonna look at the wind finder forecast for our 5 and 10 hour forecast area. And just take a quick peek. We can see very clearly from just the graph at the top. Going to be a little bit of a windy day tomorrow. Going to be calming down and then looking pretty decent this week. Going to pick up a little bit early weekend Friday, and then maybe early work week coming up, like a week from tomorrow potentially, but that's really far in advance. So we're going to kind of ignore the stuff above my head, really the 15th, 16th, 17th, anywhere in there. Anything more than 4 to 5 days out is essentially totally unrealistic to count on because it fluctuates so much this time of year. So right now, Sunday, today, we had a very nautical day with a strong north wind. We had the cold front blow by us. It is going to persist a little bit tomorrow, but calm down nicely for us and be a decent day. Fishing's probably going to be a little bit tough, but tomorrow afternoon looks good. And I would say tomorrow afternoon is your better chance if you're getting out there tomorrow. We do have a light load on tomorrow's afternoon half-day trip to try to get some hogfish. Tuesday looks pretty decent. It calms down nicely Tuesday for us. Going to be a little chilly, but not too bad. Going to be a nice day to soak up that colder temperature in the upper 60s, low 70s. Little overcast, but we've got a new moon, so I would assume the day bite's going to be pretty darn good because it's going to be cloudy, and we're going to have that sun poke out a little bit. It's going to warm up a little bit behind the front. I bet those fish are going to be hungry and ready to eat Tuesday. Again, Tuesday afternoon looks better than Tuesday morning. Got a lighter load on Tuesday's half-day trip in the afternoon. Wednesday, flip side, Wednesday morning looking better. We do have some rain coming in Wednesday afternoon. That front is going to stall and kind of back up on us and dump some rain. So I would say Wednesday morning would be your best bet there. Then we get into the rest of the work week. Looks pretty decent. Have a little high pressure settling in. Friday, going to pick up the wind, but not really the seas too much. So really, almost everything looks good until potentially another cold front there Monday the 18th. But that is 8 days away and really unrealistic to even look at because it can change drastically. So that's what we're looking at weather-wise. Basically, your best day to get out there fishing, I would say, would be Tuesday in the short term. And then outside of Tuesday, if you can't make it out there Tuesday, I would wait till, Wednesday morning looks pretty good too. If you want to scoot out Wednesday morning, Thursday looks pretty good as well. So, and even Friday, if you're not going super far offshore, won't be bad because of that east wind, you know. But with that, we've got Captain Mike Anderson to expand on our Inshore report. What's up, Mike? How are you?
I'm good, my brother. How are you?
I'm glad you didn't sleep through the show, buddy.
I tried. Apparently, I gave it a shot.
Yes, for those who missed this morning's Real Animals radio show, you missed out because we do it Saturday morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Sunday morning it's 7 to 9 a.m. But someone Saturday morning was telling me how in 22 years he's only been late to the radio one time because a cop pulled him over on the way there. So he was bragging about how he never is late to the radio show. What happened this morning?
Spring forward, I guess. Except I didn't pay attention to that. I just blew that completely off. So here we are.
Yeah, it happens.
The streak is over.
The 22-year streak is over, but hey.
Came to an end today, yeah. Kibosh that bad boy.
Are you excited right now? Are your bags packed? You're leaving for Costa Rica tomorrow, right?
We are already packed, yes, sir. I'm actually just finishing up grilling an elk sirloin at the Hall of Famer Captain Lisa Fitzgerald. Her man, Lo Morrison,
nice.
Got some elk meat and shared a little bit. So we're going to have a little salad, little elk sirloin. So should be good. We're getting excited to board the plane and head for Costa Rica for 5 days and see what the good Lord gives us. I mean, you've been there. It's a magical place. So we'll just go there and try to enjoy ourselves. I'm taking one for the team. I'm going to go check it out, make sure it's safe for everyone. It's what I do because I care.
Yeah, we
I'm gonna
appreciate all your hard work. It's really
My
appreciated.
efforts.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. It's good to be appreciated.
I'll be here and I'll do the radio show for you. We've got
Oh,
Bobby and
boy.
Travis in studio, so it'll be a
Oh,
good
nice.
team.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good. And they'll probably be on time.
Yeah. It's a magical thing.
Right. All good.
How is the inshore fishing going around here before you fly away to Costa Rica and go watch Beth catch roosterfish and marlin?
Well, that's the only bad thing about going to Costa Rica is we're on the new moon, and the bite's been really, really good.
Nice.
And I'm happy to see this little bit of a cool down coming.
Yeah.
I just want it to kind of pace itself. Let's not get crazy. But the fish are really starting to get active.
Yeah.
All up and down the West Coast. Caught fish here this week. Caught fish down in Charlotte Harbor this week. Pine Island Sound down there by South Seas Island Resort. So it's really good to see. I'm really optimistic on our red fishery. There's just been so many, redfish around 16 to 22 inches, even down south.
Wow.
In talking with Captain Lisa Fitzgerald, CCA has partnered with Duke Energy the last couple of years to do a huge redfish restocking program.
Mm-hmm.
And they've let like 15,000, 8 to 10 inch redfish go over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I think we're starting to reap the benefits of that.
Wow.
We had a school on us down there at Pine Island that was probably at least 100 plus fish that were all, 18 to 22 inches.
Wow.
So it's really, really good to see those numbers, back in some of these areas that redfish bite, quite frankly, the last couple of years has been okay, but not great.
Yeah.
So it's good to see it rebounding.
Our friends at Salt Strong did a stocking thing of 30,000 redfish right there in Sarasota Bay area and Port Charlotte for their
Nice.
50,000 member celebration. So there's been
cool.
a ton of restocking going on, and it definitely seems to be taking root. And hopefully we're going to see that this spring. I mean, I've heard reports already. Even our buddies at Salt Strong, Joe and Luke, were telling me how they were out just over the weekend, I believe, Friday morning, and they had a bunch of big schools of redfish already they found.
I've seen a lot of photos. A lot of the fish I've been getting on, maybe 16 to 24 inches.
Yeah.
I haven't had a great bite. Nick Fisher, who I filmed with Friday in
Mm-hmm.
Pine Island, he had a couple of schools he's seen of really, of really good sized redfish.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to see that mix.
Yeah.
It's, that's what you really want to see. You want to see the different year classes in there. But again, for me, that, the smaller fish have just always been a really nice indicator that, you're going to have a decent year. So that to me is exciting. I'm looking forward to the red fishing getting better and better and better.
Amen to that. Definitely.
One of my favorite fish to chase for sure.
And we talked a little bit about how we were worried spring can come early and come too fast if it warms up really fast and everything kind of happens quickly. And then you don't have that really kind of expansive springtime action that we've been looking forward to last very long, right? And it seemed like those snooks showed up so early and they were just pouring out. And this cold front has really kind of slowed that down. I was getting excited at the number of snook we were seeing and how quickly they were showing up. And we saw maybe 6 to 10, maybe 12 of them start to load up. Nothing like we normally see in the summer, but they were showing up. And the last 3 days leading up to this front, and now that this front has come through, it has been ghost town. This morning, I probably dumped easily 15 to 20 dozen shrimp and couldn't even get a snook to come up and turn on one. So they were nowhere to be seen. So it seems like that cold front is doing exactly what we kind of expected it to do, slow down that springtime spill out of those snooks. So, but I heard 2 days ago, I think it was Thursday, someone out at the Johns Pass jetty saw a school of snook swim around the tip of the jetty and up the beach. So I'm excited. It's definitely, we're on the doorstep, right?
Yeah. And I think that that's exactly what we want to see.
Yeah.
We want to see these fish. Once it gets warm, we want to see them start to push out, and then we want to see things slow down.
Yeah.
And the beauty is, we think, a lot of us just, our brain doesn't really fathom, how much water we have and how many snook are out there stretched out all over this estuary, from Sarasota all the way up to Clearwater and even north of that. And what happens is those fish are so far up the river, a lot of them, this time of year, especially when you have a nice cold winter, that it takes a while for them all to push. As long as there's bait up the river and food for them to eat, they don't all just, it's not like they're all just bailing and coming at one time, which is what you want. You want that nice,
steady
slow,
increase.
Yes, that steady increase, so things don't just all happen in a big bang. They kind of, few come out, and then a few more come out, and then a few more come out.
Yeah.
And realistically, I've had really good bites at the mouth of some of the rivers with fish that just popped out as late as June.
Wow.
In a perfect world, I think that's ideal.
Yeah.
I think if that bite at the mouth of the river is still good in June, depending on which river you like to fish, maybe it's the Palm or the Alphi, the Little Manatee, the Manatee. I've got some Manatee River spots at the mouth of the river that are just absolutely incredible in June when everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. So, and to me, that's good. A lot of people are already way out front. They're fishing on the beach because there's plenty of fish on the beach.
Yeah.
And those fish that are just coming out of the river late kind of get left alone a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I think all that's a win-win. I will tell you this, and I know you and I don't know if you and I talked about it on Saturday or not, but we normally cover some of this stuff. The trout bite in Charlotte Harbor, is specifically in Pine Island Sound, is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Some of the best trout fishing I've seen in 15 years.
Nice.
Anywhere on the west coast of Florida, except maybe St. Joseph Sound. St. Joseph Sound's a pretty special place, especially about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That big trout bite up there can just be epic, but it's very similar. That St. Joseph Sound bite is very similar with what now is going on down there in Pine Island Sound and Charlotte Harbor. There's just absolutely piles of them. Even if, you get on a bar and you're working, nothing. As soon as you get one, it's like, 6, 7, 8 in a row, 9 in a row, 10 in a row. I mean, you run into a pothole and it's just haired over with them. We had a couple of bull rushes at the boat as we were working some bars down there.
Yeah.
And they would just keep coming.
Wow.
Like a school of redfish. You're like, oh, those are all trout, dude, and they're all monsters. So it was really a fun bite. And one of my favorite things to do is just throw artificials and catch redfish and big trout, and that's we just absolutely punished them on Friday, and it was awesome.
That's a good sign. Good sign of good things.
Really good sign.
We've got good, clean water around right now, and just keeping our fingers crossed and toes crossed and saying a prayer that persists, and should be a really, really great spring and summer.
I'm absolutely stoked. I really am. I think it's going to be, the way it's setting up, it looks like it's going to be really good. We've got a ton of bait already showing up. There's still a ton of bait offshore, talking to the nearshore guys. There's just acres of it out there. And as that bait pushes in, this is going to get better and better and better and better. And hopefully we have a magical kingfish run here.
Yeah.
We're due. We've had we've had some kingfish here the last couple of years, but nothing, where it's a couple of week long season where the bay boat guys are able to get out there. The big boat guys, the guys in the 30 plus, the 40 foot range, the center council guys, they get out there, pretty easy, even in some of the snot. But for, Joe Blow, who, is just wanting to get out on the weekend and get in on some of that kingfish action, it's nice if we have a really good season, so they don't have to go too far. Those fish stick around for a while. So if we have some high wind, issues on some of the weekends, it doesn't kill the whole deal. So I'm, like you said, I'm excited for sure.
Yeah, and the mackerel action is already thick. Our friends over there at the Skyway Misfits and some of the Tampa Bay Fishing Club guys, our friend Freddie that fishes the Skyway all the time, he had a photo up of a 100-quart cooler nearly topped off with mackerel. Crazy.
Oh, good.
And bonita.
Well, that's a good sign. That should give us, a positive outlook for our kingfish run, I think.
Yeah,
usually they go a little bit hand in hand,
Yeah.
Some of your community spots, St. Pete Beach Reef, the parking lot, things like that, where a lot of boats know about those hard bottom areas. When you get out there and you're catching the mackerel, you stand a really good chance, because if the mackerel are there, the bait's there. And if the bait's there, there's a good chance, right? There's a really good chance that the kingfish are there. Even if I've had a lot of days out there where we got into the schoolie kings where we could never catch a really big one.
Yeah.
But you caught a lot of them, that were kingfish and not just big Spanish. So, again, I'm optimistic that things are coming around. Hopefully, we don't have any setbacks here water quality wise, and we can just kind of roll into this year and have a great season all the way around.
Let's do it. All right, brother.
I'm in.
You have a good night and sleep well and enjoy your trip to Costa Rica. I look forward to photos and a report when you get back.
I got you covered, bro. I'll try to call you next Saturday morning and give you an update.
All right, brother. Safe
all right, partner.
travels.
Be good. Appreciate it, pal. Talk soon.
See you, man. Well, that is all good news. So, great water, great fishing up and down the coast from Pine Island all the way through Sarasota Bay and into Tampa Bay and even north of us up there in Crystal River, Citrus County. So, really exciting stuff inshore right now in our estuaries, and that translates to our offshore fisheries. A lot of people might be sitting there, hey, this doesn't apply to what we do at Hubbard's Marina. Well, it does, because if our inshore fishery is going well, we got bait, we got healthy snook populations, trout populations, good mullet, then that means we have healthy gag grouper populations, healthy mangrove snapper populations. Our year classes of our next generation of offshore species is strong. So that is all good stuff. That translates to what we do offshore for sure. So exciting stuff. Things are ready to pop off. Let's give away a free trip and get into some questions. Remember, if you have a question, you text it to the phone number at the bottom of the screen. And if you are picked as one of our lucky winners, you got 5 minutes or less to claim that free trip by texting your phone number or texting your home address to the phone number at the bottom of the screen. So with that, we'll give away a 10-hour all-day for 2 guests. 10-hour all-day for 2 goes to Gordon Wilkins from Lake Wales. Congratulations, Gordon Wilkins. You are the lucky winner of the 10-hour all-day trip for 2 guests. Remember, Gordon, you got to text us your full home address within 5 minutes to prove you're watching live. So, with that, we'll get into some questions and see what you guys got for us tonight. So, first question is, I was watching your cooking segment on Dinner Diaz video. When they were cleaning the grouper, I have been cutting the complete red line out. What do you suggest? I thought it gave it a fishy taste. I'll be cooking up my next grouper with your family recipe. The red line or the bloodline can give it a fishier taste. I don't really say it's a fishy taste. I would say it's a little bit more of a stronger taste, right? You can cut out everything red out of the fillet if you want, but you don't have to, for sure. Me personally, I don't mess with a grouper fillet. If I'm doing like amberjack, I'll cut out that bloodline, but like mangrove snapper, grouper, I don't bother cutting anything out. I think they're pretty mild already, and I personally like that extra flavor. But I like fish, so I don't mind that taste, right? But if you are, like, say, feeding your kids, or maybe your wife's not super into a fishy taste, or you're trying to feed it to people who maybe don't eat fish as much as you, cutting that bloodline out might not be a good idea, or might not be a bad idea, because it makes it much more mild overall, for sure. Next question is, do I need a fishing license to fish around the docks? So when you're fishing with us, or any for-hire vessel in the state of Florida for saltwater fishing, if you're paying for a trip on saltwater, you never need a license legally if it's a legal charter operation, because legal charter operations in the state of Florida have to have a charter license, and that charter license from FWC covers the anglers on our boats. So if you go fishing with us, you don't need a license to fish on our boats during the trip that you paid for, because you're covered under our federal for-hire and state for-hire permits and licenses that we pay for. However, if you want to fish prior to the trip or after the trip from the dock, yes, you would need a license. Anywhere you fish in the state of Florida that is not on a paid charter like one of ours, you would need a license. Whether you're in-state, out-of-state, whatever. If you're an in-state resident under the age of 16, over the age of 65, you would not need a license to fish the dock if you were not planning to target or catch snook. Planning to catch snook, you still need a snook stamp, even if you are exempt from needing a fishing license. So a lot of people are like, oh, if you're 65 and up, you don't need a license. Yes and no, because you still need a refish endorsement. If you're refishing on a private boat, you still need a snook stamp. There's still things you need even if you're above 65 and a state resident. And if you're an out-of-state resident, you can be 100 and you still need a license. That over 65, under 16 is only for state of Florida residents. What is the best way to fish the bay? Love the beach and love fishing with Hubbards, but my little ones love watching from the dock. So personally, this time of year, as we get into like April, May, the snooks start to show up on the beach, and fishing early morning on the beach as that sun is rising with live shrimp, super light tackle, or small pinfish, sight fishing snook is one of my favorite things to do. Fishing before sunrise around the docks of the passes for snook is also super fun in the spring and summer. But with kids, like if I'm going to take my kids who are 2.5 and 4 fishing, I'm going to use a half a sabiki rig, little tiny pieces of shrimp, like a size 8 sabiki rig, a half-ounce lead, and I'm going to fish a dock, and I'm going to just destroy the pinfish, catch 50 of them until my kids are bored of catching fish. So that is the best way to do it if you've got young children. If you've got 10 or 12-year-olds, I would say another couple weeks, the mangrove snapper will start showing up, and you're fishing like a maybe size 6 hook, size 5 hook, and a small piece of shrimp. And you can even chum a little bit. You get those mangrove snapper clouded up, and then catch 8, 10, 12-inch mangrove snapper on an ultralight rod. It's super fun. If you've got 15-year-old kids, wake them up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and take them snook fishing before sunrise at a local pass using live shrimp or pinfish. That's how I would do it personally. What is the best way to get the weather report for the week? Definitely on our website, right at hubbardsmarina.com. We'll just show you real quick. Again, if you missed the beginning of the show, we show every week. Just hop on over to hubbardsmarina.com, hit fishing trips, hit weather links, and then right on our weather links page, we have the wind finder forecast, which kind of give you a visual description of the weather. Then we have the NOAA forecast, which is kind of more of a written word. You have the buoys, and the buoys show you what's actually happening. So what I like doing is I'll pull up a buoy like the Egmont Key buoy, and it will show me what's actually happening at Egmont Key. So right now, the buoy is showing me here. I don't think I can make it quite big enough for you guys to see. I might be able to. Yeah, you guys can see that. So the blue line is what's actually happening. The red line is the forecast. So this gives me a really quick graphical depiction of what's happening. So they're forecasting it to be about 4.5-foot seas, but in reality, it's almost 5-foot seas. So the forecast has been about a foot off, whereas Friday and Saturday, the blue line and the red line were touching. So what was actually happening and what was forecasted was almost the exact same. Then all of Saturday afternoon and all of Sunday and all of today so far, until now, has been wrong. The forecast has been about a foot wrong. So this is a really good tool to show me what's actually happening, and then I can hop back over to the forecast and look at it and say, all right, so wind finder forecast right now is saying 3.9 foot, 4 foot. I know it's 5 foot out there. So I can pretty much bet that tomorrow it's going to be pretty darn bumpy in the morning until it starts to calm down. So using multiple weather forecasts, what's going on now, the NOAA forecast, the wind finder forecast, looking at all of that weather information and digesting it is a really, really helpful tool. Now, it is a little bit of a challenge or mental workout to do that. So what you could do is just watch our videos that we do almost every morning live on Facebook, on YouTube, on our Instagram stories, on our TikTok, where we tell you, hey, these are the best days to go fishing. This is what's going on now. So really the best way to figure out the weather is watch our social media, where we tell you every day what the best weather days are going to be and the best fishing days are going to be. Or use the weather links page on our website, either one. How far from Sarasota? Not far if traffic isn't bad. In the morning, it's probably about an hour and 30 minutes, hour and 10 minutes. In 4 to 5 o'clock traffic, maybe 3 hours. Sarasota's traffic sucks. So, Capt Mike got caught in Sarasota traffic on Friday, and he complained about it for almost 3 hours Saturday morning. Too funny. Let's see. What other questions do we have tonight for the live stream show? Is it time to do another trip giveaway? All right. You got it, Josh. So let's do a 5-hour half-day trip for 2 guests. 5-hour half-day trip for 2 guests. Lucky winner of the 5-hour half-day trip for 2 is Barbara Perez from Palm Harbor. Congratulations, Barbara Perez. You've got 5 minutes or less to claim that free trip by texting us your full home address to the phone number at the bottom of the screen. Bill Debevoice keeps texting us, but we can't text you back. So keep in mind, we have a texting service. So when you book a trip with us, we text you reminders, we text you follow-up emails, we text you an automated kind of reminder service, and then you can also text us if you have questions. But if you ever say stop, because every message says stop to unsubscribe, if you text stop, we can no longer text you. So people will text stop and then keep asking us questions, and we can't answer you anymore because you have unsubscribed from our text line. So Bill Debevoice, we've unfortunately been unable to text you back, and I believe we've called you a few times to try to reach out to you, but I wanted to make sure we had the opportunity to cover that. So if you text stop and unsubscribe from our text messages, we can no longer text you back. So I apologize if you ask questions and you don't get answers. That is why, because we have been blocked. Do we sell fishing licenses? We do not. We do not have that ability to sell fishing licenses, but it's really easy to get a fishing license, and we have the information at our shop, the phone number you can call, and also the website link, but it's just MyFWC. You can go right on the myfwc.com website, and the fishing licenses are pretty prominent there for sure. Can you take a fishing rod on the shelling trip to Shell Key, the 3-hour shelling trip, the Shell Key Ferry, the Egmont Key Ferry? 100% yes. A lot of people do. That's what I grew up doing. I would fish the dock at a young age, 4, 5, 6 years old. And then when I got a little older, I would have my dad drive me to work, and then I'd catch a ride to Egmont Key, and I'd fish Egmont Key all day, and I'd start catching tarpon from the beach. It was super fun. And then I started catching sharks. Then my dad said I wasn't allowed to go out to Egmont Key anymore because he didn't want me catching sharks around everybody trying to swim. Then I bought my first boat, so then I could go catch sharks on my own. But that was it was a good time growing up and fishing the island, and it's definitely, even Shell Key has a great fishery. Smitty, our galley cook, went out to Shell Key on his day off and caught a bonefish out there on the west side of Shell Key, Irma Pass. During the week, I wouldn't bother on a weekend because the weekend is crazy out there, but during the week, There's some killer fishing on the west side of Shell Key for snook around Irma Pass, and really that whole west side of Shell Key. I've drifted it in a boat before and caught snook, trout, redfish, flounder, pompano. Really good fishing out there. And Egmont Key too. So really, really good opportunities to fish the beach or island while the other half is shelling and enjoying the beach. So if you're a fisherman, you can still do a lot of our other trips at Hubbard's Marina, like our 3-hour Shell Key shelling, our Shell Key ferry, the Egmont Key ferry, the dolphin tour, the sunset cruise with free beer and wine. Still have a lot of fun, and your family's happy too, right? So come fishing a little bit, maybe go out to the island a little bit. The whole family's happy. And while you're at the island, you can still fish. So you can make the most of your vacation. We booked a 10-hour private charter on the Hub. That she's not going to catch a 900-pound tuna. You can book a private charter with us, and we will do the best we can to fulfill your dreams. But catching a bluefin tuna in our area is extremely unlikely. Can it happen? Yes, but it would not be on a Hub charter. It would be a 6-day charter on the Mrs. Hub. You'd have a pretty good shot at catching a bluefin tuna. We could fish up at the rigs in certain times of year. Wintertime is when the bluefin tuna are here. Like when we see those stories of the great whites, January, February, that's when the bluefin tuna are up off of Louisiana and that area on those rigs. And the big bluefin tuna will swim up into the northern Gulf for a month or two, and they'll come back. And some of the guys in the Keys have a chance to catch them because they swim kind of through the Keys or near the Keys as they make their way up. And they pass us, so yes, we could technically catch one in our area, but it would be a long ride out there, 120 miles, and your chances would be pretty low because you would just be catching a fish that's swimming past us. It's not like they stay here for any period of time, so you would have to get a little lucky to run into one, and then you'd have to get one to bite. So pretty challenging. Definitely not likely on the Hub because we're not going to get out there far enough, but the Hub this time of year, the big fish you'd catch or have a better chance of catching would be if you booked a 10-hour, I'd be saying the red grouper would probably be your best bet. Catching one of those big red grouper, big lanes, mangrove snapper, you'd have a good chance at maybe some hogfish. If you wanted to stay shallower and target hogfish lanes, mangroves, you'd have a better shot for those hogfish. But if you wanted the red grouper, we'd push out a little deeper on that 10-hour and go after that for sure. You mentioned the importance of a flat line. If I'm in my own boat, do I use dead bait or live bait? How far back or no weight at all? Great questions. If you're in your own private boat, if you have live bait, that's a good idea. A blue runner, a live cigar minnow, even a live threadfin. So if you're in your own boat and you want to fish for pelagic fish, you would stop at a bridge on the way out or a marker and throw a cast net and try to get some live whitebait. You'd save some of it alive and then you'd kill some of it. You'd anchor up and start bottom fishing, and maybe one person sit there at the live well and grab a live bait out and cut it and throw in halves of live bait for a while, and you start that chum slick. Throw out a piece of chum, wait a few minutes, throw out another piece of chum, wait a few minutes, just keep throwing chunks out. And then all of a sudden when you see a flash or that pelagic fish, you start throwing more out, and you keep those fish around the boat. You can get the kingfish excited and they're jumping out of the water, and it's super fun and easy to target them. Flatlining, a live bait is best, but you can do it with a dead bait. We most of the time use a dead bait while flatline fishing because we don't have a live bait. Like say Smokey on the 10-hour, what he does is he'll put a flat line out with a kingfish stinger rig, like 44-pound wire if the water's muddy, 33-pound wire. So number 3 wire if it's clear, number 4 wire if it's a little muddy. And our kingfish rig is right on our website if you want to learn how to tie that kingfish stinger rig. Josh is going to navigate to it while I'm talking so you can see it. Under fishing trips, hit fishing video links, hit the fishing tips and tricks page, and under the rigging section, the rigging tips, Smokey has a video right there on how to tie a kingfish rig, him in his flannel shirt. And it's a pretty cool little video, and he goes over how to tie that kingfish stinger rig. And he even shows you how to hook the bait too. Oh, our new Seafood Secrets video is up there too. So check out the fishing tips and tricks page if you're interested. But Smokey will start with a dead bait, and long story short, get that dead bait out there on the flat line. And what we do is if we happen to hook up, Smokey will actually let that fish run away from the boat, get out there away from the boat, and then start to tighten down that drag and fight the fish. Then by the time the fish gets to the boat, it's tired out and it's not going to do circles and tangle everybody up. That can be a common mistake. If you get the fish to the boat too quickly and it's green, it'll dive at your engine, it'll do a circle around your anchor line, and or tangle other people up on the boat. So fighting the fish away from the boat is a good idea. Getting that fish tired out and then getting close to that fish to stick it with the gaff and land it is a good plan. But definitely we start with dead bait just because dead bait's available. And then through the trip, if we happen to catch a blue runner or a live bait that's sufficient, that's when we'll switch to flatlining with a live bait, just because we don't have the ability on a party boat to stop at the bridge and throw a cast net for live white bait, right? But if you're in a smaller boat, you can. So it's kind of, is the white bait or live bait available to you? If it is, start with the live bait. If it's not, start with the dead bait. As far as how far away from the boat to put it, as far as you can, right? You don't want to put it too far, but you don't want to put it 10 feet away from the boat. You want it within distance so you can see it. And a lot of times it depends on what you're using. If we're drifting along, we won't put a bobber on it because you don't need to. The drift of the boat is going to keep that bait up on the surface. But if you have a live bait, it might be wanting to swim down, especially if you're using like a pinfish or a pigfish. They will swim down to the bottom, and then all of a sudden you're going to end up accidentally hooking into a gag grouper and getting rocked up. So you want to keep that bait on the surface so you can use a balloon or a bobber to keep that fish or bait up on the surface where the kingfish would be roaming. So there's a lot of different things that go into it, but it's a fun type of fishing, and it adds a different dimension to bottom fishing while you're out there in spring and summer for sure. Can you catch and clean your fish on fishing trips? You can catch your fish. You cannot clean your fish while on a trip. We got to clean the fish at the dock. Do you prefer knocker rigs, clackety bead rig for hogfish versus a hog ball or naked ball jig? Me personally, I really like the banana jigs, the hog balls, the naked ball jigs. Do I use them personally? Not as much, just because I've been raised with the knocker rig. I've been fishing a knocker rig since I was a kid, and the banana jigs, the naked ball jigs, the hog balls, they're all newer styles of fishing. And I'm kind of an old soul when it comes to that kind of thing, so I stick to the knocker rig. And even the clickety clack beads, I don't do that myself. Some people will put an egg sinker and then like 4 or 5 red beads in the hook, and that is a good method. So are the hog balls, they work well. So are the naked ball jigs, so are the banana jigs. These things all work. There's a reason people use them. But me personally, if you're asking my opinion, I like the old school knocker rig. That's just the type of fishing I'm used to. I have 2 questions on trolling. What is the trolling speed of the 39-hour trip? Normally about 7 to 9 knots. Can we do high-speed trolling on 10-hour trips? If so, what is the traveling speed of the 10-hour? The 10 hours, not normally can you troll, just because we are moving too fast. We're typically moving about 10 to 12 to 13 knots. And if you hook a fish at that speed, it's really, you can troll at that speed, no problem. There's special high-speed trolling lures, but if you hook a fish at that speed, you can't really retrieve a fish at that speed unless the boat slows down. So high-speed trolling does work. High-speed trolling lures do exist, but you can't retrieve a fish at high speed. Once it's hooked, the boat has to slow down, and that's a challenge, right? Because everybody else on the boat wants to bottom fish. So if there's 1 or 2 people trolling and we're hooking a fish here and there, it's slowing the boat down for everybody. So most of the time, 10 and 12 hours, actually all the time, 12 hours, no shot at trolling. 10 hours, most of the time we can't troll. This time of year on a 10 hour, we are still fishing for hogfish, right? So we're not going as far. a lot of times we're not going to be running as hard, so we can have the ability to slow down. So right now, yeah, you could probably get away with trolling on a 10-hour. And we probably won't be going that fast because we're trolling or we're not cruising that far out for hogfish, right? But if we're going out there deeper and trying to go after those red grouper, especially as that water starts to warm up, the hogfish get a little thinner, we don't see them as much, we'll go out a little deeper on those 10 hours trying to get lanes, mangroves, and red grouper. And those are the trips where we're running 15 or 20, 25 miles. We got to cover that ground fast, so we're not slowing down. So that's why. Do you guys sell pre-tied rigs for grouper, snapper, the shop? No. We used to. And we got away from it just because I don't recommend them, and we weren't selling them well because I was constantly trying to talk people out of them. I hate pre-made rigs in the bags. A lot of times there's extra things like beads and crimps that are going to mess you up you don't want. So really a pre-made rig is going to be either over-tackled or it's going to be all tangled up in a bag, and it's going to come out all funky. It's really, really the best to tie your own rig on the way out. And we are walking around the boat. The crew is preparing all the other rods, and they're more than happy to show you. On our long-range trips, the 39 hours, they do a little fishing seminar on the way out where they show you how to tie all these knots and how to tie all these rigs. So a lot of people are like, oh, I'm excited. I want to buy the hooks ahead of time. I want to tie a bunch of pre-made rigs. I don't recommend that. I don't want you to do that. I'd rather you do that on the ride out, because you're going to be able to tie a pre-made rig and hang it behind you, and it's not going to have to go in a bag. It's not going to get all crimped. It's not going to get all funky on you. It's much better quality because it just doesn't get as tangled. It's easier, and it gives you something to do. So I would recommend tying your rigs up on the way out, and we'll show you how. It's time for another giveaway. Josh is prompting me, and then we'll get into a few more questions here. We are running out of time. I didn't realize our time frame. This time change has got me all screwed up. All right, so Hubbard's Marina Swag Pack is what we got to give away now. Hubbard's Marina Swag Pack, you have to tell us not only your t-shirt size, but your home address. So if you're picked as the lucky winner, you got to text the phone number right there, your t-shirt size, and your home address. Let's find out who the lucky winner is of the Hubbard's Marina Swag Pack. For one, lucky winner is Dan the Fishman. Congratulations. Going to be sporting some Hubbard's Marina gear, Dan. Congratulations, my friend. So make sure you text us your t-shirt size and your home address to the phone number at the bottom of the screen, my friend. That's cool. Dan the Fishman. Been a viewer for a long time.
Didn't his wife go on a trip the other day?
I don't know. I don't remember. I think your mic's off, by the way. Let's see. The lady who invented the knocker rig was on the boat. Huh. I didn't realize that. Knocker rig fishing has been around a long time. Some people like to say they're knocker rig fishing when they're using super heavy weights, and that's not a thing. You got to use a lighter weight when knocker rig fishing. Planning on fishing with you Tuesday. What's your favorite spot to fish off the boat during the all-day trips? The bow. I like fishing the bow personally. You're out away from everybody else. You got a lot more flexibility, and it's definitely a little bit easier to stretch out. So I like fishing the bow. Plus, I'm tall. Underneath the back of the boat gets cramped for me. I don't like it back there. Plus, everybody thinks the back is the best spot, so it gets cramped in the back. I like fishing up on the bow for that reason. I just got my first slow pitch jigging set up. What is your recommendation on jigs? We have a ton of jigs in the shop. Stop on by the shop and I'll show you my favorites. We carry my favorites in the shop because, you know, it's always good to have your favorite jigs in close reach. So we have a lot of different jigs in the shop, and we also have them on our online store. Remember, we do have the online store at hubbardsmarina.com as well. So you can go right on our website, click shop, and then Marina store, and it's going to show you all the reels, the rods, the jigs, the tackle, all the accoutrement that you could possibly want. Jig Pro Wavy, definitely one of my favorite slow pitch jigs, but we've got a bunch of them in the shop and a bunch of different options. The catch lures are really good. The Saurus, we've got some micro jigs, we've got a bunch of different options. Do you still do the Shell Island trip? Yes, we do. We've got the 3-hour Shell Key Shelling, and we've got our Shell Key Ferry. So lots of different island trips for you for sure. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? From Wisconsin, but I come to fish Florida all the time. I recently found an interest in shark fishing from the beach. Can you give some pointers? Fun way of fishing, and it's really cool because you can come from out of state. You can fish on the boats once or twice. A lot of times I realize it's expensive to come down to Florida, so you can't fish on the boat every day. So doing some shark fishing from the beach is a cool way to kind of supplement your fishing while in town. And my favorite way to shark fish, I did this when I was camping with my family in Fort DeSoto, and it was way more entertaining. I like starting small and using a sabiki rig and sabikiing up a bait, and then catching a bigger fish, and then catching a bigger fish, and then catching a bigger fish, and then catching a shark eventually. Because remember, sharks are going to be attracted by activity, right? So if you can get the pinfish chummed up and start catching pinfish, you're going to attract another predatory fish. If you can catch him, you're going to attract other predatory fish, and trying to upgrade is really, really cool. And it's a challenge. It's a fun way of fishing. But the best way to shark fish from the beach would be fishing at night. Make sure you have a shore-based shark fishing permit. So not only do you need a fishing license, but you have to take a special little class called a shore-based shark fishing class, and you get a little certificate. But once you have that shore-based shark fishing class permit thing, which is cheap, I think it's free actually, but you have to just have it if you get caught fishing from the beach. And there's some beaches that have outlawed shore-based shark fishing, so make sure you're not on one of those beaches. Now off the top of my head, I can't remember which local municipality did it. I want to say it was like Indian Shores or Indian Rocks or something like that. But one of those little beach towns did that, so make sure you're not there. Best thing to do is to kayak out a bait. If you want to get a big shark, you need a really big reel, 80-pound test backing, 150-pound test leader, and a big hook like a 15-aught hook, and some 300-pound cable leader, and you have to kayak out a bait. So you want to bring a kayak with you, and you get a kayak and push that bait, that half a bonita or stingray or huge mullet, and drag it out 100 yards off the beach and drop it with a breakaway rock or something, so that way it's weighted to the bottom. That is the best way to shark fish, or to book a trophy shark fishing trip with us at Hubbard's Marina as well. But if you're fishing from the beach, a kayak and a breakaway weight with a big bait, big dead bait is the way to go. But you can also just use like cut pinfish and like a 6-aught hook, and you can catch a ton of bonnet heads and little black tips. So if you want to catch a 3-foot shark, it's real easy. If you want to catch a 7-foot shark, you're gonna need the kayak. You're gonna need the breakaway weight. It gets a little bit more technical and advanced. But stop by our shop. We can show you around and help teach you on what to do for sure. Let's see, what other questions do we have? I think we have time for one more. Do we have one more?
No.
We don't have one more? Well, hopefully, if we didn't get to your question, I know last week we said we ran out of questions, and then some people got frustrated that we didn't answer your question. But I always answer all the questions. So if we didn't get to your question live, I will get to the question tomorrow morning, and we'll make sure to get it answered. Don't forget to check out that new video that we did this week, the cooking segment. We showed you how to crack stone crabs, how to shuck an oyster, how to cook the grouper. But that cooking the grouper recipe applies to cooking snapper on the grill, in the oven. It doesn't matter. It's a great recipe. It's on our fishing tips and tricks page at the bottom. You can find that video. So check it out, dinnerdiaz.com as well. But right on our website, again, go to fishing trips, scroll down to fishing video links. First one, fishing tips and tricks. Tons of videos. How to catch hogfish, what rigs to use, how to brine your bait, how to tie a uni knot, how to tie a kingfish rig, and then general tips on how to cook fish. And Captain Hubbard's Seafood Secrets is right here at the bottom, so pretty cool. So hopefully you can check that out, and hopefully you enjoy it. But lots of cool videos there to check out. Someone asked about cell phones. Yes, you can bring cell phones out fishing now. So that is a thing. Also, want to make sure if you're a part of our supporters group, we're going to have a very fast supporters after show starting at 8:45 because I'm tired. My alarm went off at 3:30 a.m. this morning. It's brutal. It's been a tough day. It's been a long day. So we're going to have a shorter supporter after show, but hopefully we'll see you at the supporter after show if you're on our supporters club. And make sure you get your Hellman's mayonnaise for that fish recipe. Not Duke's, not Kraft, not Blue Plate. Hellman's mayonnaise only. Get your Hellman's mayonnaise Hubbard's Marina t-shirt. We have those in our shop and on our online store. If you haven't checked out the online store yet, make sure you do so. Also, stop by, see us at Don's Dock. We have a seafood market. If you're too busy to go fishing, you can stop by and buy some fresh fish or stone crab or oysters right at our seafood market. So if you like stone crabs, if you like oysters, if you like fresh fish and you don't have time to go catch it, stop by the seafood market and pick some up. Also, hopefully we'll see you out there. Lots of great fishing opportunities this week. Hopefully you enjoyed the show every Sunday night right here at 7:30 p.m. And don't forget to tell your friends. Don't forget to share the video. Don't forget to see us again next week for another episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of our Hubbard's Marina family. Let's find out who won that 39-hour trip for one lucky winner. Lucky winner is... drum roll, John Quigney from Lexington, Kentucky. Congratulations, John. You got 5 minutes or less to claim that free trip by texting us your full home address to the bottom of the screen. If you're a supporter, make sure you join us in our supporters after show at 8:45. Y'all have a good night, tight lines, and we'll see you next week for another episode. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being a part of it. Have a good night, y'all.